number one lesson, here it is, man. If you just listen to this one, even if you don't carry a gun, start paying attention in your world. BakerTargets.com is where I get the targets you see me shoot all the time on Active Self-Protection Extra. They ship fast, their prices are great, and they have all kinds of targets, both for competitive shooting, defensive shooting, and fun too. Check them out. Okay? We say attention buys you time, and time buys you options. Now, you know what, in the gun world, you know what this is mostly known as? Yeah, it's situational awareness. Now you gotta have situational awareness, John. Situational awareness. Number one, how do you situational aware? Quick, everybody, situational aware. And you're like, what? Now listen, first of all, you don't need a fancy term for it. Your mama taught you this when you were 3. She said, pay attention, right? You're about to cross the street. She doesn't say, hey, be situationally aware. That's stupid, right? No, here she pats you on the head. Hey, pay attention. Look both ways, right? So pay attention. What am I paying attention to, Mom? I want you to pay attention to the right things. And the right thing right now, because we're about to cross the street, is I want you to look both ways. And make sure there's not a car coming so you don't get smooshed. Cool. And again, I actually think paying attention requires more than situational awareness. It actually requires 3 awarenesses. First of all, you have to have personal awareness. You have to know what's going on inside of you and with you. So to pay attention means, number one, I see what's going on in my world, inner life first. You ever have that day you're just pissed off at the world? And if you don't recognize that, all of a sudden you're growling at everyone, and you're taking offense at things you shouldn't be taking offense at. And if you don't recognize that and go, ooh, I am not going to be in public today because the public does not need this attitude. Or I'm going to get in a gunfight with a road rager today because some dude cuts me off in traffic and I'm going to be a total raving jerk. So paying attention starts with internal understanding. Or maybe it's, you know, man, I'm having a hard time seeing what's going on in my world because my heart hurts super bad. Because I'm scared of this business thing that's going on. You start with internal personal awareness. Then you look at environmental awareness. What's my environment? Where am I and what kind of space am I in and what should be normal here? What's my default here? Then once I know my environment and myself, now I start looking at what situation am I in? That's situational awareness. So if I have personal awareness, environmental awareness, and situational awareness, now I'm paying attention. Now I know what's going on in my world, in me, on me, and around me. And now I'm actually paying attention to my world. The biggest challenge to paying attention is, anybody know in our modern world? The thought vacuum. Now again, why do they sell us these Magic Pocket supercomputers? How do they make their money with these Magic Pocket supercomputers? They get you to pay attention to it. That's exactly right. Yes, they make money on selling you the handset, but they make far more money over the life of the handset by making you pay attention to it. And they're really good at it. And they're experts at making you pay attention to it. And so we go out in public and we go, and do you ever notice that you're not looking at your phone like this? You go. And you're not paying attention to anything that's going on around you? I can't tell you enough. Number one thing you can do to increase paying attention in your world is take that thing and put it in your pocket. It's literally the number one thing you can do. Now, don't get me wrong, I have one too. I'm addicted to it like you are. I understand what that is. Everybody wants to get a hold of me. I'm always making sure it's available because if my wife needs me, if one of my children needs me, I want to be available for them. My staff need me, all those things. But we gotta remember, it'll be okay. It's one of the reasons I actually keep a smartwatch, because I get a text message, I can look and go, yeah, that's not somebody I need to pay attention to right now. And I can just go on with my day and get that later when I've got some dead space. Okay? So attention buys you time, time buys you options. If you don't pay attention in your world, you put yourself out there to be a target. You know, we say it all the time. My friend, the tactical professor is here in the room today, Claude Werner. Claude, thank you for being here. Claude is a certified legit badass. And Claude says, if you don't want to get eaten, don't look like food. Now, I don't know if that originated with you, Claude. It is, that's your phrase? Yeah, okay. Very good. But yeah, again, if you don't want to get eaten, don't look like food. And when you look like somebody who's not paying attention to your world, to an aggressor, to somebody who's a violent criminal actor, you look like food. You're just an ATM. Whereas even if you're just paying attention to your world, they go, man, there's easier prey. I'll go get the next one. Your ego is not your amigo. I will tell you a brief story from our own lives. In fact, this is one that my middle child was with me on. This was a really fun one. This is a real story. You can fact check it with sympathy. So having a rough time at home, we're really struggling, having fights with parents because that's what you do when you're a teenager. At the time, I drove a Mustang GT that was really fast and had some aftermarket parts on it. And so, hey, Papa, can we go for a ride in the Mustang so I can clear my head? Sure, no problem. We go driving around a little while. Can we go to Quick Trip and get a slushie? Sure, why not? We go to Quick Trip to get a slushie. We fill up the slushie. We're standing in line to fill up the slushie. Dude cuts in line in front of us with a energy drink, says, I need a pack of smokes. Guy gets him a pack of smokes, and I'm just like, whatever, dude, that's fine. And then he realizes he doesn't have his wallet, like pushes off on this stuff, damn it, and goes out. I was like, okay, whatever, let's pay for our slushie. Here's our $2 for a slushie, great, have a nice day. We go to walk out, and dude had parked in a handicap spot right here. There was an open handicap spot here, he's parked in a handicap spot here. We start walking out, and he peels the car out, peels the wheels backwards, as he's backing up. And so this one's standing on the side of me, I put my arm, I go, whoa, and I go ahead, man. And he leans out his passenger window. We're adults here, right? I'm going to use an adult language because it was what was used on me, and this is the real world. He leans out through the passenger window and he goes, fuck you! He clearly didn't know who I was. I'm fully kitted up. I've got everything that I normally would have on me. I've got an OC spray in my pocket. I have a firearm on my hip, and I'm damn good with it. And real quick through my head, if that guy jumps out of his car with a gun in his hand, he's going to get shot. If he jumps out of his car with a crowbar in his hand or a bat or something, he's going to get a gun pointed at him. If he gets out of his car without anything in his hands, he's going to get the spicy treats. But let's see if I can keep him in his car. And I said, totally, bro, fuck me. 100%, man, fuck me, my bad. Truth?
Yes.
Okay? And he was like, and then peeled out and left. And she says to me, what was that guy's problem? I'm like, I don't know, let's just carry on. And then there was two dudes fueling their motorcycles next to her, and he was like, hey, you're the ASP guy, aren't you? I was like, yeah. He goes, oh man, that guy didn't know what was about to happen. and I just said, look, I'm glad nothing happened. And just keep it shiny side up, guys. I hope you have a great night. And listen, that kind of stuff there, just paying attention, seeing that guy had a bad day, clearly he was having problems. Can I defuse that problem and get out of there? If I can, why wouldn't I? Because that attention bought me the time to not get run over by this dude and get into a spot where I end up in a gunfight. Space, pay attention in your world. Number two, the place for these attacks is almost always what we call transitional spaces. Now, but to say this very clearly, Kelly McCann was using the phrase transitional spaces in his work with SWAT teams and building assault in the 80s, okay? But he used it in its architectural sense. Anybody here an architect or work in building design, any of those things, right? So a transitional space from an architectural, idea is where you go from one kind of environment to another, right? So if you're going from an outside environment to the inside, your hall, your entryway would be a transitional space that lets you do that. But I use the phrase a little differently. With its defensive definition, a transitional space is anywhere that allows an attacker to attack with an element of surprise, allows for easy egress, and has valuables there they want to take. We call it transitional spaces because it is very commonly where people are transitioning in their world. So a parking lot is a transitional space. People are coming and going. A bad guy can attack with an element of surprise, get away quickly, and take your stuff. A convenience store. It is very convenient to get in and out. That transitional space allowed him to attack with an element of surprise. So what does that mean? Especially in transitional spaces, pay attention. You've got to pay attention in those transitional spaces. If instead you are in la-la land in those, then you are in trouble. Particularly for me, when I am walking out a door, I just want to see through the door as soon as I can. That's not being paranoid. Now, I know the idea is, well, you got to be polite, be professional, and have a plan to kill everyone you meet. Anybody remember that? Okay, so that comes from Jim Mattis when he was commanding. He wasn't a general at the time. He was commanding, or I forget exactly what his rank was, but he's commanding in Iraq. And he told all his Marines, all right, Marines, you go outside the wire today, you engage your brain before you engage your rifle, and you be polite, you be professional, and you have a plan to kill everyone you meet. because he wants his Marines to come home, and all his Marines are wearing the same uniform, and everybody else who's not a Marine could potentially be trouble, is what he's trying to do. But those guys came home from the war, and now everybody looks different, and nobody's wearing the same uniform, and those guys came home and had crazy PTSD from that mindset. You cannot adopt that mindset as a private citizen. Be polite, yes. Be professional, absolutely. See what's going on in your world and pay attention, especially in transitional spaces, and be curious. Be a 5-year-old. You ever see a 4 or 5-year-old go into a new space? Like you open the door and they go, "What's out here?" Well, this is cool. That's how I want to live my life. I want to see what's going on in the world, and if something then is out of place, now I deal with out of place. If something's a problem, I deal with a problem. When we train law enforcement officers, be officer friendly right until something goes wrong. Don't be an officer hard ass when you don't need to be a hard ass. I mean, you've all been like pulled over for speeding or something like that, right? You don't want the dude to show up at the window and go, "Do you know what you have done wrong?" I'm so sorry. No. "Hi, how are you today, sir? Do you know why I pulled you over today?" "I have no idea, sir." "Yeah, I caught you a little fast." "Oh, dang it. Can I have your license, registration, proof of insurance?" "Absolutely, sir." See, again, that friendliness, and that's what you want, right? So be that person. So be polite, be professional, be curious of your world.